Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. Yes, we are back. Of course, after Wimbledon, what a tournament that was. We've wrapped that up though, and there's some breaking news. Or some news that I guess might not be particularly pleasing to a lot of you, to be honest with you, and that's about Novak Djokovic. We want to see the best players playing in the biggest tournaments. Unfortunately, it's looking pretty unlikely we're going to see him at all in the US Open Series, and that means all of the Masters tournaments. So we're talking the Toronto, we're talking the Canadian Open, we're talking Cincinnati, and everything else really in between. He's not going to be able to play unless somehow the rules and regulations are changed or he gets vaccinated, which we pretty much know 100% is not going to happen. So that's where we stand at the moment. I'm going to break it down a little bit more in a second and get your guys' opinion on it and kind of just discuss what it might mean. Before I do that, remember to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. That's two favors you can do for me by hitting the thumbs up button and subscribing if you're new. Thank you so much for getting involved. As always, if you're a podcast listener or watcher, do remember to leave a rating or review. Thank you so much for supporting us as well. We are rising up in those charts as well. Okay, so to sum it up, first of all, Djokovic is banned from Canada and the US. And when I say he's banned from Canada and the US, he's banned from playing tennis in Canada and the US. In terms of traveling, etc., I'm not 100% sure what it means. If I'm being honest with you, I haven't really looked into that because for me, it's pretty much irrelevant. Although I can see articles here saying that the US immigration still requires incoming travelers to show proof of vaccination. For Canada, they have the same stance. Of course, there was a exemption put forward by Djokovic's team for the Australian Open. In the end, the filing or like the proof or something along those lines wasn't correct. So that's why he ended up getting deported from Australia. That's another saga to explore. And I guess in about 3-4 months' time, when we do start approaching the Australian Open, because they have enforced a 3-year ban by deporting him. What does that mean? I do not know. So we'll have to get into that close to the time. But in terms of the US Open, looking at it purely at the US Open Series, the US Open, at the moment it's looking unlikely he's going to be able to play, which is a massive shame from a tennis point of view. No matter what I think your personal opinions are on whether he should be vaccinated or not, or on top of also your personal opinion on him as a person. If I'm sure a lot of people love him as a person. I'm pretty sure most of you will at least have respect for him as a tennis player because he's an incredible tennis player, one of the greatest ever. But we have to say that we want to see the best out there, right? And everyone knows who watches the channel that I'm a Rafa fan, but it doesn't matter because first and foremost, I am a tennis fan. And what I want to do is see the best players competing. Would I want to see Nadal beating, say, a Medvedev or a Djokovic in the final? Probably Djokovic. Now, that's not to say that he would beat him, because most likely on a hard court, Djokovic, like on the grass, is still the favourite against Nadal, for example. But I don't also want to hear people then calling Nadal's Grand Slam victories legitimate because Djokovic isn't available to play. Because there's been a lot of Grand Slams where Nadal or Federer or vice versa, or even Djokovic have been injured, and then one of the big three has gone on to win the tournament. It doesn't make it any less of a achievement. It's definitely a shame, and of course we want to see the best players there, of course, and hopefully some sort of resolution can be made out. We'll see. And for me, the biggest thing is that I want to see him in the biggest tournaments. And we saw it at Wimbledon, fantastic Roland Garros as well, great to see. Let's see whether it will happen at the US, but currently it's not looking likely, which is a shame. In terms of the Russian and Belarusian policy, so they will be allowed to play at these events of the US Open Series. They will be following, I guess, the guidelines that were set before Wimbledon, which was the rest of the ATP had been saying, as long as you play under a neutral flag, then it's okay to compete. We're happy for you to compete. You come here, you compete, and all good. So that's good to hear because we want to see those guys playing. And I think they were definitely missed at Wimbledon. And that's not to say that Djokovic's victory wasn't legitimate. Of course it was, but someone like a Medvedev, would have been looking to go pretty far at Wimbledon, right? I mean, he's the world number one currently. Now, should he be the world number one is a different discussion, but in terms of, his, I think, ability and where he's at in his career, he won the US Open last year. He'll be going into this year's US Open as a champion, of course. He would have, I think, liked to have gone into Wimbledon and given a good account of himself, potentially, make a semi, make a final. And he would have been touted to cause some problems against the Djokovic, again, still an underdog, but say against an Nadal on Wimbledon, who knows? Maybe he wins that. So, and maybe he would have even beaten Djokovic. You just can't know for sure, right? So I think it's definitely a shame, and obviously himself and Rublev and a few other players as well, Karatsev, for example, Hachinov, there's a lot of them, not just on the men's side, but on the women's side, a whole host. It's great to see them back. And yeah, can't wait to see them in action. On top of that, let's quickly just touch upon what this might mean then for Djokovic not playing. So obviously, if he doesn't play, he will lose a lot of ranking points because he made the final of the US Open last year. That's a lot of points to defend. If he doesn't manage to, or isn't allowed to play the US Open Series, he will drop down the rankings further. And I would imagine he will then find his way outside the top 10. And that's why I know he asked after the Wimbledon victory, he said, look, if I've won a Grand Slam, does that mean I've qualified for the ATP Tour Finals? I think it's because he was aware that he may not be able to play the US. So obviously the ATP Tour Finals is normally the top 8 players, right, in the rankings. Now, there hasn't, I could be mistaken, but there hasn't been many instances, if any, recently, anyway, in the men's game, because majority of winners of Grand Slams have been the big three, where we have had, say, the top 8, and then it's actually in the top 7, and then someone else outside of that top 8 replaces the person at 8th because they won a Grand Slam. I haven't seen that on the men's side unless I'm mistaken and maybe I've missed it somewhere. So for me, that would be really interesting because the person who's 8th will be thinking, oh man, I'm going to miss out. And I'm assuming that's how it works. So at least we will definitely see him at the ATP Tour Finals. It's in Turin as well. He loves playing in Turin in Italy. He loves playing in Italy even because, look, I mean, he's loved in Italy. He speaks Italian. He's got an affinity to the Italian crowds. We see it at Rome as well, where he's got a fantastic record as well. So that'll be something he'll be looking forward to. Of course, the Davis Cups before, Laver Cup as well. Look, I mean, I hope it's not a case of him missing everything from the US Open Series and then him having to then play the Davis Cup mid-September. That would be a massive, massive shame. It really, really would be. Yeah, I just think generally it's not great. It's not great, and I hope that doesn't happen. I hope we get to a point where, you know what, Djokovic is just able to play, and we can see all the best players playing, and we don't have to worry about people being excluded because of X, Y, and Z going on outside of tennis. So let's see. Let me know your thoughts, though. What do you think in terms of do you agree with Canada and the US to ban? I guess it's not really him; it's people who don't have that vaccination status, right? So it's not specifically him. They're not making a beeline for him. That's just their regulations. Do you agree with that? Do you think, would he be the favorite going to the US Open? Would it be Medvedev? Who do you think is going to win the US Open with Djokovic not being there? Or if he was to play, who do you think still wins? Let me know. Let me know in the comment section below. I'm interested. Of course, it's very early days. It's an early prediction that you'd be giving, but it's interesting to get your guys' thoughts on it because the US Open Series will definitely give us some sort of indication as to how players are going to be going into the US Open, but it's not always the be-all and end-all. That's for sure. So I can't wait for it. It's going to be fantastic. The time difference is going to be crazy when we do get there, but look, I mean, it's not that far away. It's only just over a month away, the US Open. So I'm already gearing myself up towards the hardcourt series coming up. But yeah, thank you very much, guys, for tuning in. Do appreciate it. Remember to hit that like button and subscribe if you're new. Of course, some more content will be coming out. I had a couple of days off just because, Wimbledon had finished. Need a couple of days to decompress and relax and just reset, recharge. But I'm back. Should be coming back with daily videos. So do make sure you click on the notification bell as well to get alerted to all the new videos. And we'll see you very soon. Stay safe and well. Thank you very much.